Welcome to another episode of Couch Catechism. I'm your host, Michael Abid from Voracious Media. Tonight we've got two special guests. We've got Budwe Moussa, we've got Nazha Moussa. How are you guys? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, this is going to be kind of like a bit of a part two from the testimony that Budwe did. Now, from the reason why you wanted to do the talk, I know that we were speaking about it earlier. Can you just give us a reason why you felt the need to want to come on? Because I remember that after, because from what I know, I was speaking to Budwe afterwards, and his talk touched a lot of people. But a lot of people had a lot of questions as well.
Yes, they did.
And they were coming to you with those questions. Can you just elaborate on that?
Sure. I received a lot of messages and phone calls after Budwe did his testimony, because a lot of people that have known us for a long period of time weren't aware of our struggles with infertility. And I was like, wow, I didn't realise you guys had that journey.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of questions for women that they knew were struggling. So the question didn't come directly from whoever was struggling. It was my friend struggling or my sister-in-law struggling.
Okay.
How do I help her? What do I say?
Okay.
And so I considered doing this to reach out to the women suffering in silence and the couples that are struggling, and hopefully we can shed some light on their journey. Well,
that's beautiful. So because the reasons why we have talks like these is because there's always going to be somebody out there who can resonate with something that we've spoken about, or one of the testimonies or one of the talks. So hopefully we touch somebody out there who's struggling with the things that you actually struggled with. So where did you guys want to start?
Well, I haven't spoken about this, so
because this is your first time actually giving a testimony.
Really out of my comfort zone.
That's okay. You know what? We'll go very slow.
Yeah.
If there's anything that you forget, Budwe will probably be able to help you out. And we know that we got your notes, so just at your own pace, just take your time and just.
Okay, so we'll start off probably with a little bit of my childhood.
Done.
I was born into a very Catholic family. Okay. My parents were very devout. I'm one of four. I'm the second eldest in my family. And I grew up knowing the basics of my faith, like church was every Sunday. Our devotion to our mother, our Blessed Mother, every May was a must. I learned to pray the rosary in Arabic from mum. We sang the Allah, so I learned that from my mum as well. So our upbringing in the house was very Christ-like, and all the advice my parents gave us as we were growing up was always Christ-like and godly advice. So I was very blessed for my upbringing. Went to school, primary school was St. Joseph's Belmore. High school was McKillop Girls High in Lakemba, and then I went off and started my apprenticeship. And as a child, I only knew a handful of saints. St. Charbel, St. Maroon was the main saints that I knew. St. Joseph's, obviously, and St. Therese because of my school and my cousin's school. And Mary McKillop, she wasn't a saint then, but we knew of her. And my first memory of going to church was actually at St. Charbel's in Punchbowl. Before the church was built, they had a house up the road. Yeah. And we used to go there on a Sunday and sit on the floor when the priest was saying Mass. Wow. And then when the church got built, obviously it was moved over to the church. But even going to church as a child, I remember Christmas, all the big feasts like the midnight masses, we were always there. Midnight mass, obviously we always rocked up at 10:30 because Dad wanted, the front front row seats. And
do you remember those events getting a lot of crowds as well, even from back then?
Huge. Wow. That's why we used to go at 10:30 because if you go any later, you couldn't get into the church.
Amazing.
Yeah. And they used to call up the children to the altar, and the children used to sit on the altar around the priest. So it was just beautiful. Yeah. So my upbringing, I was very blessed with how my parents brought us up. And then we fast forward a few years and I meet Budwe. And he's already touched, I think, on how we met and things like that. So I met him in 92. We got married in 94. And
what took you so long?
Yeah, I know. Didn't act quick enough.
2 years, far out.
So it's pretty traditional too. Okay, so his parents come over, ask for my hand in marriage. The engagement's spoken about, wedding set. So in a year, we were engaged and married.
Beautiful.
So we got married, and our intention was always to have children. There was never a date or a time set. Whenever it was going to happen, it was going to happen. So, and you know, coming from Lebanese background, like the pressure's always on. After you get married, it's when are you having a baby?
Always ask straight away,
So that used to happen a lot, and you take it lightly because you're just a newlywed, and it's going to happen.
And you know that those conversations are going to happen, and that they're going to ask. Yeah.
So it got to about maybe 2 years, and we started thinking, well, okay, like it's 2 years now, and nothing's happening. And
is that when you started to get worried first?
Well, it was a thought.
Okay.
Not really seriously worried.
Okay.
So we thought, okay, we'll see how we go in the next year. And, you know, still the pressure's on from everybody. Hurry up, have your baby.
Everyone's
you know.
still asking.
Yeah, everyone's still asking when you're going to have a baby.
Yep.
And automatically you think that they're thinking there must be something wrong with them, you know, because that's an instinct reaction. There's something wrong with her that they can't have kids straight away, or something wrong with him that they can't have children.
Yep.
And in our case, that wasn't the situation, and I'll get into that a little bit further down.
Yep.
So we lived with my in-laws after we got married, and we decided that when we move into our home, we'll seriously think about it, and if it hasn't happened, we'll do something about it.
Okay.
So it was about 4 or 5 years before we moved into our home, and still nothing had happened. And at that stage, everybody sort of, like, the pressure got even heavy.
Yep.
And what's going on? Are you doing anything about it? And, you know, and
so you're getting like interrogated pretty much?
Yeah. Well, interrogated, not in a bad way, coming from a good place.
And was it from both your parents or?
Family and friends.
And friends, okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't say parents.
Okay, so it was
Funny, like aunties and things like that. You know?
Like, if you were at a party or something, they'd say, oh, hurry up.
Okay.
You know, hurry up and have a baby, or what are you waiting for?
Because around the 4 or 5 years mark, that's when our parents sort of like were
getting worried.
Yeah. And they didn't want to touch up on the subject, and they were a bit worried, and you know, we don't want to ask them too much. And then the aunties would come, or somebody else would come. Oh yeah, yellow. You know, when you're gonna have children. You know.
Yeah. So we moved into our house, and we started to seriously think about, okay, we've got to do something about it because it's just not working, and whatever was, you know, it's not happening. So I had a friend who had a child, and she struggled to have more children.
Oh, so she had the first child naturally, but then she...
That's right.
Okay.
So she did IVF.
Okay.
And I didn't know she did IVF until she fell pregnant with her twins.
Yep.
And at that stage, everybody sort of presumes there's something going on. Nobody asks the question. And she said, look, if you're having problems, here's a phone number.
Okay.
I've done it. It worked for me.
Yep.
And it'll work for you. It's easy. It's not that hard.
Yep.
So I just took the number, and I didn't say anything. Like, I didn't engage in any conversation.
Yep.
And
did you understand the church's teachings at this point?
No, at this stage, because we were just basic. Like, my knowledge of our faith was basic.
Just very devotional, Sunday Mass, love Our Lady. But when it came to like certain church teachings, you
had no idea. My parents had no idea. His parents had no idea where the church stands on that. So there was one time I was visiting my in-laws, and the conversation never came up with my in-laws. But I walked in once, and my father-in-law, God rest his soul, was so excited. And I remember, and he sat me down, he goes, I know, like, I don't bring this conversation up with you, but I've just watched this show on A Current Affair. It's this naturopath on the Central Coast, and she's helping couples get pregnant.
Okay.
And she's doing it the natural way.
Oh, wow.
Would you consider it?
Yeah.
And I'm in an RM because I've got the phone number for IVF now.
Okay.
So, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll have a think about it. He goes, look, take the number. If you want to go, I'll take you. Like, I'll just drive you up, drive you down. If it takes us 10 trips, I'll do that for you. So I was really touched by that.
Beautiful.
So I took the number and went home, and I left it. Didn't ring up IVF, didn't ring up the naturopath until I think a few months down the track where I was getting desperate.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, I've got 2 numbers here. What am I going to do? So I thought, I'm going to ring both of them up.
Yep.
And whichever appointment I can get in first is the way God is showing me to go.
Okay.
That's how I thought.
Okay.
So I ring up the naturopath, and this was around about March. So I ring up the naturopath and they give me an appointment in October that year.
Yep.
So it's a fair way away. And I thought, okay, well, I'll ring up IVF now. But they'll probably be the same. So I'll ring up IVF and she said, no, we can see you in 6 weeks. I went, okay, beautiful.
Okay.
I thought that was my path.
Okay.
So we went to the first appointment together and they were explaining the whole procedure and what we have to do.
Yep.
And they said, these are the tests we got to do for you. These are the tests we got to do for your husband. So we took that on board. We did the test, went back, and they said to us, oh, you guys are easy because there was nothing wrong with either of us.
So they were testing to see whether there were fertility issues on both ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said, you guys are easy. You know, it's just probably timing that's the problem. It's fine.
Okay.
You know, we can get you pregnant. So I was excited, like, this is easy.
Wow.
So we started the treatment, and the treatment, what IVF is really, they take over your cycle. So you start on like a nasal spray in a certain time of your period, and then further down the track, you start with injections, and those injections produce hormones, and you got to do that every day. And then at the end of it, you have a trigger shot. And that trigger shot actually releases the eggs, and you're ready to go in to collection day, and that's when they collect your eggs.
Now, with the nasal spray, were you spraying yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
It was in each nostril in the morning and in the evening, and I think that was for a period of 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, and with keep going.
And with the injections, I think it was for about 7 or 10 days, and that was in the evening, one shot.
And would you inject
No,
yourself?
I'd get Budwe to do it. I couldn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have to go to the clinic to do it?
No.
You'd be getting Budwe to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All this was done at home.
And what did that feel? How did that feel?
Oh, horrible. My emotions were like through the roof. Like I'd be happy 1 second, sad the next. If you said something to me, I'd be in tears. Like very, very sensitive.
Okay.
But it's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde in a matter of
seconds.
Bipolar extreme.
Yeah. Like her stomach blew up, so she looked like she was pregnant, but she wasn't.
Wow.
When you're doing the injections into the stomach.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I'd be sitting in the lounge room, and she'd walk in and she'd be bawling her eyes out and be, it's all your fault, and she's crying.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like I'll get up, you know, to go and see her inside, and then she's all normal. You know, I love you, and everything's fine. Within seconds.
Yeah. And how long did this go for?
Well, this was a cycle, so a month.
A month, okay.
Yeah. So this is now 7 years into our marriage now. Yeah. And we did the trigger shot, which releases your eggs, and then within certain hours you have to go into hospital and they do the collection. And when we went in for collection, I think you're semi-conscious, if I can remember. And when they collect your eggs, they write the number on your hand when you wake up, so you can see how many eggs they've collected.
Oh, and they write the number of the eggs that they've collected on your hand.
So when I woke up, I saw a number 23, which means they collected 23, which is a lot. Yeah. But in that process, you collect 23, and then they go on to mature them a further 3 days or 4 days, if I can remember. And some dropped off, so I'm down to 17.
Okay.
And then when I was ready for them to do the implantation, I only had 6 left out of the 23.
So it goes from, those are the odds, they just keep reducing over the process.
They drop off, they die off.
Because they die outside of the...
Some will die off, and some they'll say, okay, these are the best 6 or the best 4.
The best ones out of the lot.
And then they fertilise those?
Yeah. Yes, they fertilise them and they freeze them ready for you to come in, and they'll do the implantation.
Okay. And so when they, just because I don't know about any of this, when they take your eggs out and then they fertilise them, is implantation on the same day, or you have to come back again for that?
You don't have to do it on the same day. I didn't.
Okay.
I'd always come back the week after, a few days after.
And do they only implant one or they implant a few?
Well, it's your choice. They give you a choice of 1 or 2.
Okay.
And because I had 6, I said I'll do 2 at a time because my friend had twins. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do the same thing.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with us. I said my chances are high.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting that you say that, sorry, because I know even with students that I've taught, a lot of the time the twins have been through like they're children of through IVF. Yeah, you get a lot of twins.
Yeah. So that was my aim. I'm thinking, great, I'll have 2.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
So they did the implantation, and at that stage, my father-in-law, which he touched up on as well, my father-in-law was sick, and so there was a lot of things happening in our family, a lot of stressful stuff, and I fell pregnant. I went. They do the implantation. You go back for a blood test, and the blood test came back positive. So it was a strong positive. They can tell by your hormone levels.
Yep.
And they said it's really good. It's a strong positive. I said fantastic.
Okay.
At this stage, his father wasn't doing too well in the hospital, and then I had to go back for a second test, and it was good. So the hormone levels were creeping up. Yeah, creeping up, which was good.
Yeah.
And my father-in-law took a really bad turn, and he ended up in intensive care and on life support. So he didn't know that I had fallen pregnant, which was really sad because he was encouraging us as well.
Okay.
So I remember going into the intensive care unit, and I whispered in his ear that I was pregnant, hoping that he'd fight and pull through.
Okay.
And it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And my father-in-law passed away, and we had his funeral a few days after, and then I started bleeding. So that led to my first miscarriage.
Okay. And how long after the implantation was this?
About 2 weeks.
Oh, so it was 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. Right. 2 or 3 weeks.
So it wasn't a couple of months, it was just that first couple of weeks.
Because I pretty much tell you like straight away.
Okay.
So that led to a miscarriage, and we were devastated. Okay. I mean, we were dealing with the emotions of losing my father-in-law, then the miscarriage, and it was just a lot of emotions and trauma at the one time. So after that happened, I still had 2 more attempts. So I pretty much went back to back with them. So I said, okay, we're going forward next.
Yeah.
So we did the next one again, implanted 2 again. That was negative straight away.
Your body rejected them?
Yeah. It was no positive pregnancy. It was just negative.
Okay.
I was fine with that.
Yeah.
We go for the third one. And I'm thinking, okay, the third one, it's got to work now.
Third time lucky.
Yeah, third time lucky.
Yeah.
So we've done the third one, and same thing. Rejected. And we were shattered.
Okay.
And we thought, that's it.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Why is this happening to us? Like you're asking all these questions, and your mind's all foggy. Like you can't even think straight. So you go from this to that.
And because they've set you up with this expectation as well that you're going to get pregnant.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the two of you. And so you've got your hopes up
100%.
And you're thinking that it's going to happen.
Yeah. So we're thinking it's going to happen. Well, it didn't happen, and we were very much shattered.
And are the hormones still playing throughout this whole experience as well?
The hormones.
Are you still going up and down with your emotions on a hormonal level, or like are you a bit more stable?
Not as bad as what I was when I was doing the treatment.
Okay.
But because there was a lot of trauma,
as well, that added to it.
So it took us a while. It took me a while to sort of come back.
Okay.
Not to normal, but like to a reasonable level.
Okay.
Like depression starts to kick in.
Yep.
You don't think you're going to fall pregnant. Yep. You're getting irritated with people. Yep. You don't want them to ask you, are you okay?
Yeah, because at this stage, now because I've miscarried, the word's out that I've fallen pregnant and I've miscarried.
So you guys let everybody know that you fell pregnant, and then you also...
because we thought it was a miracle. My dad died, and then my wife fell pregnant. We thought, we're life for a life.
Supplementing one for another.
So then, God bless everybody. And I know they were coming from a good place. If anybody went to Lourdes, they give me holy water from Lourdes. So I was drinking holy water from Lourdes. I was rubbing my tummy with holy oil from Lebanon. I was eating bakhur. Everybody was giving me stuff to eat and drink and rub.
So a lot of people are there praying for you.
The string around the stomach.
And sentimental stuff too, because I had a client of mine that said, here, this is from my grandmother. She gave it to me when I was struggling. You wear it as well. Like beautiful gestures from everybody.
Okay.
But I wasn't in a good spot. So like I was taking all of this in just for them and because I was desperate as well. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't from the depth of my heart, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So when they said, here's a prayer, pray this.
Yep.
Pray it and put it down. That sort of thing. So I wasn't like really devoted into the prayer.
Did you feel that you had lost hope? Is that why? Or did you feel like because of all the emotions and the trauma and everything that you had been to, you were kind of like just numb to it all?
I think a bit of everything, Michael.
Okay.
You get numb to it and I lost hope 100% from.
And you didn't want to get your hopes up and you didn't want any false expectations.
Yeah. So from then on, there was no excitement about anything for me. Like if
and you hear a lot of times people say you just got to let go.
Yeah.
You've got to let go and give it to God. And there's a lot of times where she goes, okay, I've let go and give it to God, but she hadn't.
Yeah, it was always in the back of my head.
But were you getting frustrated at people saying that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Frustrated in a way where just leave me alone, back off.
You don't know what I'm going through.
Yeah, you don't know what I'm going through. It's easy for you. You've got children. If somebody was speaking to me that was struggling that didn't have children, I'd say, okay. But everybody that's talking to me has got kids. So you can't possibly know exactly what I'm going through. I appreciate the advice, but you don't know what I'm going through. So I just wanted to be left alone. But I mean, like I said, from the goodness of people's hearts, they were praying for me and encouraging me to don't give up. And
how many years are we up to now since you're married or going?
That was 7 years.
7 years.
7 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had a bit of a break, and trying to move forward from all of it. And then a friend of mine said, you know what? A friend of mine is doing IVF. And I said, look, I've done IVF. I don't want to do this again. She goes, no, because the first lot of IVF, I did it through the public system.
Okay.
She goes, she's going through a private doctor. He's brilliant. And they monitor you and they're a lot better than the public system. And I'm going, but I don't want to go through that again. Like it's traumatizing. It's hard on my family. It's hard on everybody. And she goes, look, just give it a go. And when somebody says that to me, it stays in the back of my head and it's always there until I deal with it. So I've thought about it and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a go. So I've gone to my GP and I've said to him, I want the best IVF specialist in Sydney.
Okay.
Because, no problem.
Okay.
Because I've got this guy. He goes, I'd send my family to him.
He's a professor.
He was a professor. So you've got the head of IVF, then you've got this doctor that I went and saw.
So he's the best.
Okay. So I made an appointment and took my sister with me, and same thing, he sat us down. I had to, go through all my history and what I've been through. And he said, okay, we're going to start some blood tests so I can do it here. He had his own labs and stuff like that. And I said, fine. He goes, I need to do an ultrasound on you. I said, yeah, okay, no problem. And so he put me down on the bed and he's doing the ultrasound. And it starts off and he's, swiping the probe along and he's taking his time with it. And he stops and he keeps, fiddles around that area. And I'm going, look, something must be wrong because it's just, I had ultrasounds before and it doesn't feel right.
Okay.
And then he goes, look, I need to do a more thorough ultrasound. I need to send you down the road and I'll get the results back straight away. In the meantime as well, do some bloods down there for me and come back.
Okay.
And this wasn't planned. I was just going to see him and that was it. So I've done that, went down the road, did another ultrasound and he walks into the room and he's looking at the screen and I can see his face and he looks really concerned. I'm going, is everything all right, Doc? He goes, I have to talk to you back in my surgery. Gone back up to the surgery and he sits me down. And he goes, look, I found something. And I said, okay, what is it? And he said, well, I don't know, but it's a massive mass on your ovary. And I said, okay, what does that mean? He goes, well, it's covering your ovary and I don't know if we need to take the ovary out, but it doesn't look good for you.
Oh, wow.
And I said, okay, what do you mean it doesn't look good? He goes, well, I can't see what it is until I go in, and then I can have a better idea. And I said, what is it, cancerous? And he goes, might look like that.
Okay.
But like I said, I can't tell you until we go in. I said, okay, so what do we have to do? He goes, we need to do surgery.
Yeah.
And I just got to let you know that if it is cancerous, we might have to do a full hysterectomy if it's spread.
All right.
And I've sat back in my chair and I've got my sister next to me, and I didn't want to freak out because I didn't want to upset her or, react in a bad way where she reacts. And I've gone, okay, so I'm in a bit of shock here.
Yeah.
And he goes, but because you're young and you don't have any children, we're going to try save one of your ovaries.
Okay.
I said, okay, let's do what we have to do. How soon do we have to do this operation?
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to book you in as soon as I can. So the following week, gone into hospital, thinking, okay, this is it. I'm not going to have any children. They're going to take everything from me. So I was in a really bad way. And we've gone in, we've had the surgery, and I remember coming out and I was in recovery, and my husband and my parents were standing there and they gave me the thumbs up. So I knew...
What did you hear?
That he took out and kept the ovaries.
So he giving you the good news?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can imagine at this point, 8 years has gone past.
Yep.
And you're hearing, trusting God, just pray.
Yeah.
And you just keep hearing bad news and bad news and bad news. At that point, my wife's like, what have I done? Where are you, God? I'm praying. I'm asking you.
Far out.
And I've got no more answers. Yeah. I don't know what to say to her after 8 years. I can only say so much. And that's why I said to our lady, intercede for us.
Yeah.
Help us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So he gives you the thumbs up?
He gives me the thumbs up, and I knew things went well. And he said, look, it was massive. It was like the size of an orange.
Yep.
But
size of an orange?
Yeah, a large orange. He goes, but I was able to cut around it. He goes, when I did the ultrasound, I couldn't see how it was attached, so I wasn't sure how we were going to approach this.
Okay.
But you're fine.
Okay, good.
You're fine. Once you recover, we'll start your IVF treatment. This should be good.
Okay.
So he was very, very, very positive.
Okay.
So I didn't do the IVF straight away. I had a bit of a break, get my body, back into some sort of condition. And during that time, I was late, and I'm thinking, okay, this is unusual, but I didn't get overexcited about it.
Yep.
And 2 weeks passed, and I thought, you know what, I better do a pregnancy test just in case. So I've gone and bought a home pregnancy test, and I've done the first one and it was positive. I've done the second one and it was positive. I'm going, this can't be right. It shows that I'm pregnant.
Wow.
So I rang up Budwe, and he goes, okay, let's go to the doctor. Let's see what's happening. So I get a referral to go to an obstetrician because I didn't have one at that stage. And I made the appointment, and it was a few weeks down the track. So at that stage, I was probably about, I think I was 8 weeks by the time I went and saw him. And he's doing the ultrasound, and he's taking his time on the ultrasound. I'm thinking, that's great, he's showing me stuff. And then he had a bit of a worried look on his face, and I said, is everything all right? And he said, we're just doing this a bit more thorough than usual. I said, okay. And then he finished up the ultrasound, and he sat me up. He goes, I need to tell you that there's no heartbeat. We couldn't find a heartbeat on the baby. Are you for real? Everything was fine. All my tests were fine. The hormone levels were great.
Yep.
He goes, it looks like the baby had stopped growing a week before you came and seen me.
Okay.
Shattered again.
Far out.
Broken.
Yeah.
Absolutely broken. But I thought, well, I fall pregnant naturally.
Okay.
So it's a good thing that I can fall pregnant.
Okay.
So all these years I'm thinking I can't fall pregnant.
Yep.
Well, this just proved that I can fall pregnant.
Okay. So even in the midst of that sad news, you still had some hope there.
Yeah. And later on, I look at it and think, well, that was a sign from God saying, just be patient.
Okay.
Your time is coming.
Yeah.
But when you're at that stage and you're desperate, no patience. Like you want it and you want it now.
Well, you are patient though, 7 years in, 8 years in, far out.
So
you can't see God's plan. You know, the devil just throws everything up in the air, and you're trying to get your feet back on the ground, but you can't see what God's doing for you, but you see it all later on.
That's right.
That's right.
In hindsight now, you're probably seeing everything, and you're seeing how his plan is just completely unfolding for the both of you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so keep going.
So we have a break again, trying to go forward with our life, and still got the IVF. So the second doctor waiting so I can go see him.
You can go back in,
And I'm getting pressured. There's like everyone's saying to me, you know, he's a good doctor. He found that mass on your ovaries. You know, everybody else missed it. You've had so many ultrasounds, nobody picked it up. He picked it up. Go to him. He's great. He's fantastic.
Yep.
So they've convinced me, and I've gone, okay, let's do this. Last time. So I've gone back to the doctor and started the treatment again, but his treatment and his approach was a lot different to my first experience. So the second time I did IVF, the experience was pleasant. Okay. So still emotional. Yep. And I was up and down, but not as bad as the first time. Okay. So went in for collection, and I think it was, 11 eggs that they got this time. So he always said to me, the doctor said to me, this is going to be, because he saw my records from before, and he said, wow, that's a lot of eggs, but we're going to do quality over quantity. So I'm thinking that's good. That sounds good. Okay. So I'm going to have quality eggs, not a lot of eggs, but they're going to be quality eggs. Okay. So I had 9 eggs, and they've gone on to mature, and only 6 survived. Okay. And by the time I was ready for the implantation, I only had 2.
Out of the 9? Out
of the 9.
Okay.
So he said to me, what do you want to do? And I said, let's do 2. And he said, you know what? No, let's do 1 at a time. And I want you to take it easy, go home, rest up. I said, okay, I'm going to listen to him. He's the best. He's accomplished so much for me so far. So we did the implantation, and I've gone home and went back for a blood test, because you got to go back, I think, 3 or 4 days after that. Yeah. And the result came back negative.
For the first one?
For the first one. And to me, that was the end. I couldn't do it and go on any further, because I didn't want to keep being hurt and shattered.
Even though you had 1 egg left?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though I had 1 egg left, I said, I can't do this anymore. Okay. That's it. Sorry.
Like in the midst of all of it, like her mind and our mind is always, maybe we didn't rest enough when she felt pregnant this time, or maybe we didn't put our legs up.
You always think it's something that you've done.
Something minor.
Yeah. Maybe I worked too hard. Maybe I bent over too much. Yeah.
Okay. You always think it's your fault. You've done something wrong. Yeah. And like I said, I just couldn't do it anymore. And I said to Budwe, I'm done. I can't. Okay. I can't do it. And I said to him, if I can't have children, if I can't give you children, would you leave me? You remember that?
Yeah. I didn't know, because, she's going 10 years on. Yeah. And her last words were like, if I can't give you any children, would you still want to be with me? Yeah. I'm like, yeah. Okay, look, I didn't know you were thinking like that.
Because your mind goes everywhere. Yeah. You can't think straight. So you're thinking, like, are my family, upset with me, or is he going to leave me? You just want to make everybody around you happy.
That's right.
And so I'm thinking, I can't do this anymore. So I found myself driving to Marshallville in Punchbowl. And I remember it clearly. I walked into the church and I was crying, I was sobbing, like it was the end for me. And walked to the right-hand side of the church and dropped to my knees. I can't even remember who was in the church. And I looked up at Jesus on the cross, and I said, I'm done. I really can't do this anymore. Okay. And I said, you've given me your cross, and I've tried to carry it, and I need you to take it off me. Yeah. I said to him, I promise you I won't shed another tear. Yeah. I won't question you. If this is my will, not to have children, and it's just myself, your will, not to have children, and if it's just myself and my husband, I accept. Yeah. but I said it from the core of my soul. Like it was really,
you meant it.
Yeah, it was really, really deep. And I looked at Saint Charbel and I said, I need you to help me. And I looked at Our Lady, I need you to help me because I can't do this by myself. And I remember it must have been a lady that, because I was sobbing, a lady sort of pat me on the back. Are you okay, darling? Are you okay? Yeah, my head was down and I was still crying. And I finished praying and when I got up to walk outside, it was instant. It was like somebody had clipped wings onto me.
Okay.
And I was like a feather. I flew out of that church.
Okay.
And when I say like I flew out of that church, it was light. Like my load was left behind.
Yep.
And I moved forward straight away, like instantly. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel upset. I wasn't anxious. The thought of having children basically exited my mind pretty much straight away.
Okay. So you were at peace with whether God wanted you to have kids or not?
Yeah, I accepted it. And I said, that's it. Like, I leave my baggage here and I'm done.
Okay.
And that's how it was. So I left Saint Charbel and it was just a new me.
Okay.
It was a new life. A new outlook on life, and we were going to start. I said, that's it, we're starting our life together, just me and you, and this is how it's going to be.
Okay.
And he was fine with it. We were fine. So we were planning our future. And he comes home one day after work and he's got an invitation in his hand and he said, we've got invited to my friend's wedding. Beautiful. He goes, it's in Fiji. Yeah, okay, let's go. He goes, okay, book it.
Yep.
This was in October, the wedding. And I'm booking the holiday for Fiji, and then I ring him up. I go, you know what? It's our 10-year anniversary this year. He goes, do you want to go back to Phuket? I said, yeah, why not? He goes, okay, book Phuket as well. Let's go celebrate our 10 years. He goes, actually, book it for Christmas. We'll go have Christmas in Phuket. Okay, perfect. So we've booked Fiji, and I'm booking Phuket for December. And I'm saying to the travel agent, this is the hotel I want to stay in, and these are the dates. And she couldn't get the dates and the flights to match.
Okay.
And she said, look, I can give you another hotel. I said, no, I want this one. It looked really nice. And she goes, if you want that one, you need to travel earlier. Why don't you go earlier December? So I rang up Budwe and said, yeah, let's go early December. We'll go to Queensland for Christmas. I said, okay, perfect. So we had all these trips booked. Went to Fiji and for about 10 days, I think it was. It was a beautiful holiday, a beautiful wedding. And we came back and we were preparing ourselves for Phuket. It was about 2 weeks out and I'm late again, and I'm not freaking out now, like, so I'm late. And then I'm like the week is coming to the end of the week, and I'm thinking, you know what, I better take a pregnancy test because I want to get some vaccines done for traveling. And I just want to make sure that I'm not pregnant. I wasn't getting my hopes up too high or anything. I did a home pregnancy test and it was positive, like instantly.
Wow.
And I went, what? Did a second pregnancy test straight away. With the other ones, like it crept up slowly.
Okay.
And with this one, it was just like quick, instant. What? This can't be right. Took a third test. Same thing. I ring up Budwe and I said, babe, I've just done 3 home pregnancy tests and all of them have come back positive. He thought I was joking. He started laughing. Yeah, babe, yeah, you know. And I said, no, I'm serious.
Because that stage, like, I don't want to get her hopes up. You know what I mean? Because she's going to get destroyed again, and then I've got to pick up the pieces and calm her down and, you know, comfort and everything like that. And I'm like, just don't get excited, you know? Like you're just, I get worried the after effects.
True. So I said to him, I'm going to go to the local medical centre. I'm going to get a pregnancy test. He goes, okay, go do that. So I've gone there and I've gone into the surgery and I said to the doctor, I need a pregnancy test, but I need my results now, like today. And he's going, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I said, no, you don't understand. I need them no later than today. He goes, okay, look, I'll try and get them back to you at 3:00. And he did.
So he sensed the urgency.
Yeah, and he could see me all anxious and everything. And he goes, I'll call you. So they called me and it was about 3:00. I went back in. He sat me in his office and he's got his folder out and he's going like that and he's shaking his head. I go, so am I pregnant? And he goes, I'm sorry to tell you, but you are pregnant. And I start crying.
Are you sure?
And I'm going, are you sure I'm pregnant? He goes, that tells me here, like, you're nearly 9 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
And I went, are you sure it's my results? He goes, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
It's you and your results. And I'm crying, and he goes, is there anybody that you want me to call for you? Like, he was sympathising, thinking.
He thought you didn't want to have the baby.
Yeah, because he knows nothing about my past.
History,
So I gave him a quick rundown, and he starts crying, and he's hugging me. So I was wrapped. So I give me those results. I'm taking them with me. So I took them with me, and I rang him back up. And I said, what are we going to do? Like, we go to Phuket in less than 10 days. And by then I had told my mum and my dad, and everybody's saying to me, don't go. Like, you're pregnant now. You know, you waited so long. And I've said to him, I've wasted 10 years crying and 10 years just waiting. I'm going.
Okay.
And they're going, oh, you're so selfish. Don't go. You know, think of the baby. And
you rang the doctor.
Yeah, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to ring up my fertility specialist, get his advice. So I rang him up, and I've gone into the surgery, and I told him that I'm pregnant, and he said, look, I'm going to do some bloods. And he did some bloods, and straight away they came back, and I waited around. And he goes, look, you're 9.5 weeks pregnant, Nazha. And I said, wow. He goes, yeah, wow. Like, he goes to me, you're a mystery. And he closed the folder. He goes, you're a mystery.
Wow.
I can't tell you. Whatever you've done, keep doing it.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I need to ask you a question. And he goes, what's that? I said, we're going to Phuket in less than a week. Is it okay to travel? He goes, yeah, no problem. I said, is it okay to fly? Like, I've asked one question like 500 ways, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Is it okay if the plane descends? And what about when the plane takes off and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
He gave me the go-ahead.
Yeah.
He said, go have a good time. He goes, you know, just be careful. Don't eat, you know, the raw seafood and stay hydrated and all that stuff. And we did. We went for 2 weeks, and we came back. We had a great time.
Yeah.
And a week after we came back, the tsunami happened. You know, the Boxing Day tsunami?
Over there, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So had I booked my original dates,
you would have been there.
We would have been there, because we were going around Christmas time.
Oof.
So because we booked earlier, we missed them. Thank God. But there were a lot of lives lost during that tragedy.
Yeah.
That was God's plan.
That was God's plan. Yeah. God's always got a greater plan. But you don't realise till after.
Yep.
When you're going through all this, you can't see it, because your thoughts are foggy.
Yep.
Like, everything just takes over, and you're not focusing on God.
Absolutely.
And when I did focus on God, the pictures were clear.
Okay.
I understood everything.
Yep.
You know? Fell pregnant. We came back. We had Mary. The pregnancy was amazing. I had a really good pregnancy with her. I had a beautiful birth. And we named her Mary after our Blessed Mother. And then, to our surprise, a year and a half later, I fell pregnant again with my second. Wow. Natural. I was content with my first, thinking, okay, God's blessed me with one. This is our family now, just the three of us. Yep. And then I got blessed with Alicia, number 2. And that was another beautiful surprise. And then a couple of years later, I had a miscarriage. Yep. But I wasn't cut up. Okay. I accepted it, because I said to God, I'm going to accept whatever you throw at me with no questions. Yep. Then we fall pregnant with Gabriella, number 3. Wow. Yeah. And all this was natural. Natural pregnancies. Natural pregnancies after that. Wow. Had another miscarriage after Gabriella. Wow. But like I said, I was okay with that. Like, I accepted what God gave me, and I was content with what He gave me. Wow. So there was no more asking why and why us.
And as we grew up with our faith, and we started studying our faith and knowing everything, we realized that IVF was against the church, and we didn't know. Yeah. So we went to confession. Mm-hmm. And in the process before we went to confession, the hospital said, you got one more embryo, what would you like us to do with it? Yeah. We said, we don't need it anymore, you can get rid of it.
That was after I fell pregnant with Mary. Yeah. I got a phone call because I put it in storage. Yeah. And they said to me, you've got one more embryo, what would you like done? And she said, do you want us to discharge it?
Is it fertilised? Was it fertilised?
Yeah.
It was fertilised, yes. Yeah. But we didn't have an idea about
everything.
About everything. Yep. And I said, and she goes, do you want us to discharge it or keep it? I said, well, I've been blessed now with a child we've conceived naturally, and this is God's plan.
Yeah.
No, you can discharge it.
Yeah.
And she said, are you sure? What about if you can't fall pregnant later on down the track? I said, I'm accepting what God's will, and I'm happy for you to discharge it, not knowing what I've done.
Okay.
And I only found out how serious my actions were about 5 or 6 years ago when I was doing an examination of conscience, and we get to you shall not kill. Yeah. And I've gone, I've got this. Like, I haven't killed anyone. Yeah. And the priest that was doing my confession, a really good friend of ours, goes, you've done IVF? Yeah. And I said, yes. He goes, you had a frozen embryo? And I said, yes. He goes, what did you do with it? And I went, no way. Yeah. I was in tears. Yeah. I was beside myself.
Yeah. The first time ever I started crying hysterically. I've killed my own child. Yeah. I've killed my own child. I didn't even know. Yeah.
I didn't know.
You know, like it was destroying.
Yeah. Okay. And he said to me, Father said to me, because you are unaware, it's not a mortal sin. Yeah. You know, you'll be forgiven. I absolve you of your sins. Yeah. And he did. But it played on my mind after that. Yeah. You know, what did I do? Like, only if I had the knowledge that I have now, things would be a lot different. Yeah. And because I was harping on it, he's saying to me, you're offending God because you've already been absolved from your sin.
He's forgiven you.
And he's forgiven you. Yeah. Let it go. Yeah. You need to move forward. Yeah. So I had to learn to move forward from that. But I was very distraught for a while because, no excuse for my actions. But we weren't aware. So, as we got stronger in our faith, our priest friend, actually dissected the IVF process, and we understood why the church opposes it. And
okay. What was for you now, with the experiences that you've had with the whole not being able to fall pregnant and then going through IVF and then giving up on that and then just leaving it in God's hands and then falling pregnant naturally, when the priest explained to you about IVF itself, what was it that he said that rung true with you about whether it's probably not the best option to go by with regards to the church's teachings? Because I'm just thinking about, what about like if you had never ever had the opportunity? What if you had never been blessed with children? Yep. I find that it would be so hard for people who find it very hard to conceive, if they have conceived only through IVF, how they would only be able to see it as a blessing, the fact that God has given them children in and through that process. How are you, like from your own lived experience, how are you able to say, yeah, you know what, even though I went through the process and it didn't work and then I had my pregnancy naturally, how did you know, or how did you come to the terms with, you know what, that's actually a good point. Yeah, there is this issue with it. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I understand your question. Well, let me just say, with my last embryo, that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to go through, because I heard that it was against the church's teachings, but I didn't know how and why. Yeah. To me, if you just say it's against the church's teachings, that's good enough for me. Okay. You don't need to go into detail with me to tell me I'm obedient to the church. Okay. So that was one reason why I didn't want to go ahead and do the second attempt. Okay. But when Father dissected it to us, like he dissected every process, I understood it because... not because it was man-made. Well, was it because it was man-made?
No. Like he went into detail. Okay, how are they going to get the sperms from you? Okay. So that's the sin of lust, the sin of masturbating, and then you've got the eggs. Yeah. How many eggs do you have to fertilize, murder,
and how many drop off?
Okay, so you got 22 on the first one. That's 22. Potential babies that are gone. Yeah. So, you multiply that by how many cycles you're going to do. So you kill up to like 100.
So you felt like the bad outweighed the good in terms of the proportions.
Yeah.
Like there's so much.
There's a lot of.
There's so much to deal with.
You have to do a lot of bad stuff to make this happen. Now, there might be people who have done IVF and they've had children. Those children are a blessing.
They are a blessing.
Yeah. They're not a sin.
Yeah.
But the actions that you've done, they're the sin.
Yeah. So like the actual children that are born in and through IVF, they're still a blessing from God.
100%.
God still loves them and everything like that. It's just that when you look at all the, like you were saying, you looked at all the situations surrounding it, and you saw that there's too much that goes on here in order to get that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? You start to read. You start to like because we didn't know our faith, and at that time when Mary fell pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, this is when we just started, okay, I want to do something for Our Lady because she's granted us a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've named her after her. We started QMHR.
Mm-hmm.
I got questioned about Mary. I wanted to learn more about the faith.
Mm-hmm.
So I started reading the Bible, you know. So it took me 3 years because I'm a very slow reader.
Yeah.
I only read 2 pages, but I photograph everything in my mind.
Okay.
Right? So as you're reading them, you realise that Abraham and Sarah in the Old Testament, they were struggling.
Yeah.
Not that he was 90 years old when they had Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
John the Baptist and Anne, they were struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And who do they have? They had the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Joachim and that was Joachim and Anne.
Yeah.
And then they're the parents of Our Lady.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like so all Zachariah and Elizabeth had John the Baptist. Mm-hmm. All powerful people.
Wow.
It doesn't mean that God's punishing you or anything like that. He's
everything's in His time.
Yeah, he's doing this to make something bigger. Like we didn't realize until later on.
Yeah.
If He didn't make us wait, right, I wouldn't have fallen in love with Our Lady.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have started Queen of the Most Holy Rosary.
Yeah.
Queen of the Most Holy Rosary has sent 6-7 containers worth over 100 grand. We've built a church. We've helped all these orphans. We've sponsored all these children. We've started a Rosary Army. And
it all started with this trusting Our Lady and devotion in God that you guys both had.
Yeah.
So what would you say, just to kind of like just to finish up, what would you say to those people watching right now that are struggling to have children, that aren't able to have children, that have tried everything? What would be like from your experience and going back to the 10 years that you spent, what would you say to those people?
Well, if I had the faith back then, like I have now, I would have let go and let God take care of it. Mm-hmm. Where I was in control. Mm-hmm. I wanted to fall pregnant on my terms, in my time.
Yep.
And when I did surrender to God, it was a lot easier to handle. Mm-hmm. So you must surrender like wholeheartedly, and you'll know if you've done it, because I know when I pray the rosary.
Yep.
And then I know when I've really prayed the rosary, like it comes from a different place in you.
Yep.
Same with this. Like even though I thought I was managing okay with the infertility, it was always in the back of my head. Mm-hmm. The thoughts are always there. But when I actually let go and surrendered my cross, it was different.
Okay.
It was just different.
So at the end of the day, it's not so much that you're wanting to let go so that God can then reward you and say, now that you've let go, I'm going to give you children. It's just about just being able to say, you know what, God, it's up to you whether you want me to have kids, because from what you were saying, when you learned to let go, you were comfortable either way.
100%.
And it was just about...
I just accepted it. I was really at peace at that stage. Okay. So
no, that's beautiful. I've got friends of mine who they've gone and they've done naprotechnology, and naprotechnology is an approved method, fertility method, in order to be able to help couples have children as well.
Okay.
And for people who are probably thinking, well, if I want to follow the church's teaching and I want to do things I want to do things the right way, I think maybe we can give people a couple of links to some, we'll probably give people a couple of links to some doctors, that fertility doctors that are actually approved.
That's a good idea.
So that's a very good option. Any last words that you'd both like to share with everybody before we finish up? Any words of advice?
Just stay focused on God.
Yeah.
God will always, God's plans are always bigger. We don't see it when you're going through this, but His plans are always the best plan.
Okay.
The best way.
And there is a lot of people out there that, like, it might sound like, oh, the reason why that you're not pregnant is because you don't have faith.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there that do have faith.
Yeah.
And
are struggling to fall pregnant.
Yeah.
My advice to them would be to go up to Jesus and ask Him to help. To help you carry your cross. To help me accept your will. And whatever your will is I'll accept it. And God's merciful. He's incomprehensible. Like you can't fathom His mercy. And for a child to come up to a father and ask the father for something and say whatever you want, I'm more than sure that Jesus would be merciful and help.
Yeah, awesome.
And the second part of the advice would be, what are you asking of me, God? Because I didn't ask that.
Okay.
I didn't ask, what do you want from me? But now I know what He wanted from me.
Okay. Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I know that would have taken a bit of courage, but you know what? You did really well. Thanks again for coming on the show. No, that's okay. I hope that, and I know because I definitely took something out of this, but I know definitely that a lot of people would have taken a lot out of this, and we'll be definitely praying for you guys and praying for them as well.
Thank you, Michael.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us on another episode of Couch Catechism. Don't forget to like and share this video, and if there's anyone that you believe will be touched by this talk, please send this to them as well. I'm Michael Abid from on Couch Catechism from Voracious Media. Keep the faith, stay strong, and we'll see you again next week.
Hi, I'm Father Daniel Russo, and I'm here with the team of Voracious Media. What's fantastic about this initiative is that it's an Australian-based catechetical resource. In other words, it's our Catholics right here at home who are teaching us about Jesus Christ in an uncompromised way. We're learning the fullness of the truth and nothing less. We're also supporting our local priests, nuns, and laymen and women, and empowering them to be educators in the faith, to be evangelizers. So by supporting this initiative, you're supporting the church in our country. So get on board and support Voracious Media.